Okay, I am back. This is part 2 now because I don't know what happened when I pushed pause. So, anyway, he's getting on the bus. He's struggling a great deal, and I was really afraid he was going to fall. And the last time I thought somebody was going to fall on the bus, and I didn't listen to that still small voice within, guess what? They fell. And I felt like a terrible, rotten human being for not doing what I needed to do. So I jumped up, I ran to the front of the bus from my normal back seat. Those of you know me know I go straight to the back of the bus so I can be aware of everything around me. And looks like I'm walking down to the water. Anyway, so I just, jumped up, helped him to a seat. He thanked me profusely. He had some difficulty speaking, I noticed, so I do think there was something like neurological going on. I don't think he was intoxicated, which even if he was intoxicated, I was there once, so who am I to judge? Like, I've been there, so who am I to judge? Anyway, so he sits in one of the back seats as well, and we start to somewhat conversate. It was a little bit broken and awkward. I have trouble hearing sometimes, and then his speech was a little bit off. So it was a combination of things that made it very difficult to really understand. But what happened in those moments, even though communication was broken and whatnot, it's so beautiful. Take a look. Peaceful waters and some shade. I'm gonna take a break and cool off. I'm really in no hurry today. It's really, I think, it's what God's been calling me to do, to just walk where He sends me and listen and be still when I need to. And so I'm going to be still for a minute here by this pretty lake, and I'm going to finish telling you what happened in those moments after we got settled into our seats. He tried to share his flaming hot Cheetos with me, and I'm so picky about food, so I just declined. I told him they were too spicy, even though the truth is I love spicy stuff, so it was a weird thing. I don't know why I lied, but I didn't want to hurt his feelings in declining his very generous offer to share his food with me. And then he went to share with this other guy who happened to turn around, and he commented that what I did was very, very nice. And I don't need these on. And I just told him, I was like, we're all in this together. That's what we're supposed to do. When we see somebody struggle and we help each other out. We've all struggled before. And he smiled and went on his business. Well, the guy is trying to share his flaming Cheetos with everybody, which was really, really lovely and adorable. And and it kind of, it's interesting. Not that people should judge people based on anything, but I'm sure a lot of people assumed he was drunk, he was high, and he wasn't worth their time or their attention. And he was, regardless of what he was doing, he was. But it's interesting because that judgment that may have been made, and I'm assuming a lot here, I have no idea what people were thinking. Maybe they wanted to get up and help him as well, but just didn't. I've been there where I was just like, oh, it's not my place, and whatever. But anyway, if they were being judgmental about him, it puts that twist on perspective. And that twist on perspective is often what we all need in life. Perspective is everything, because there's so many angles we can look at something from, and it matters. It's a different vantage point. So anyway, all of this just kindness is going on. I'm feeling heaven all around, and I'm trying not to cry because it kind of breaks my heart that what I did was so unusual. That's what gets me. That's what gets me, is that it's so unusual. It shouldn't be unusual. That should just be like what we do. That's how I was raised anyway. That should just be what we do. I'm gonna sit down here now. So So I fought back the tears in those moments because that would be weird if I just started crying. I mean, not that anything I do is not weird, but I wanted to continue enjoying that moment of humanity that was happening around me. And as I said, I politely declined his offer on the Flaming Cheetos. His name was Lawrence, by the way, and he kept thanking God in this really beautiful way that I understand, because it's something that I regularly, it just comes natural when you're in those moments of praise and worship and true surrender to the Most High, and when you realize where all love comes from. And he told me several times, God bless you. I told him the same, and he told me, thank you. God willing, I'm gonna see you again one day. And that also got me, because he understood the depth of what was happening, that it was beyond us, that it was truly God in our midst. And he ended up pulling out, he seemed to have kind of a childlike mind. And I'm making a lot of judgments myself. I hate to do that, but it's also, I think, sometimes observation more than actual judgment, because I mean no harm in these observations, I think. So anyway, he pulls out a box of like 8 crayons, like the basic colors, and I think they were Lisa Frank or something. The box was kind of cool, and he looks into the box and he looks up and he does some things, and he prays. And then he pulled out the purple crayon, which those of you who are familiar with the chakras and with the energy channels and that sort of thing know that the third eye chakra is, or I'm sorry, the crown chakra tends to be like a purple color. And the crown is where we connect with God, with our highest self, with the self that we are destined to be if we learn to align with the Most High. And again, this time I really didn't do a good job of fighting back the tears. They just started kind of streaming down my face, and I thanked him profusely. I asked him if he was sure, did he not need it, because it didn't seem like he had a whole lot, and I didn't want to take his purple crayon if he needed it, but I also didn't want to refuse a second gift from this beautiful man. And so I took the crayon and I told him I would take good care of it, and I did. I immediately pulled out this little tin that I have in my backpack, and I put it in, and again he started doing hand gestures and praising God, and it was just beautiful. It was just beautiful. This life is really beautiful when we step outside of ourselves and step outside of all of the man-made, like, I just don't understand most of what we're doing. I don't understand most of it. So anyway, the day continued, and this is a long video, so I don't know what's going to happen with this. Maybe I'll just transcribe it and share it as I see fit. Maybe I'll share this, who knows. Vulnerability is my thing. I realize I'm all over the place though. So I get off of that bus, and I'm at the train station, and I see this girl, and I'm like kind of trying to mind my own business, like I try to listen for God's guidance, we'll say, because I don't want to just be up intruding on people if they're not ready for something like that. That doesn't benefit anyone, so when God wants me to talk to somebody on that level or do something, it's got to be from him, not from me, just being like, oh, there's somebody in poverty, there's somebody addicted, there's somebody that needs kindness. Yeah, that, like, still be kind for sure, don't be mean, but like, I'm not gonna just go and like intrude in the way that I do sometimes, and like the way when I got up with the guy on the bus. But she kept looking at me, and then she would fall forward like this. It's the fentanyl days. Like, it's so sad to watch because they'll perk up and then suddenly they're like, they just wilt. Like, wilt. She's so beautiful, so young. And um I was praying and just kind of listening, and something bit me. What the heck is going on here? Um so I end up, after about the fifth time that she kind of conked forward, we had smiled at each other at this point, and I went ahead and I walked over and I sat down on the bench that was about 5 feet away from where she was sitting on the concrete. And as she was nodding off, well, she was kind of nodded off, and I didn't know if I should wait until she sat back up, but God had already told me offer her your water. And all I had was the bottle that I'd already taken a sip out of. It's my like reusable bottle I got at the Dollar Tree, nothing fancy or special about it at all. And I had fresh squeezed lemon in it. And so I asked her, I was like, do you need water? And she was like, yeah. And I said, well, all I have is this one, but it's cold and it's got lemon in it. And I was like, but I have drank out of it, but I'm not sick or anything. And she was like, yeah, thank you. So I gave it to her, told her she could share it with her friend. There was a much older guy there with her, unfortunately. He was just as out of his mind, but who knows what was going on. I just hope she's safe and okay. And we started to talk, and I was able to share with her some of my past, and just let her know that God sees her and that she's not alone and that she's loved and that she can turn her life around. She doesn't have to stay in addiction. And to be honest, I asked her directly. I said, do you mind if I ask why you're out here, honey? And she said, I'm an addict. Plain and simple. And then as we're talking, she's kind of showing me her like scars and places on her body, and she wanted out of it. Like, nobody wants to be in that lifestyle. They're there for some reason. Something inside is broken. And it's our job to help and heal each other. Like, we can't just leave these kids out here in the streets. Like, we can't. And I can't, I don't know what to do, and so I feel helpless and torn. But if the least I can do is to talk to them and make them feel seen and make them know that there is life on the other side of that addiction, and that there is a God that if they surrender to, those demons get quieter. It gets easier to starve them. You don't have to feed them anymore. You don't. And so that ended beautifully as well. Nothing, life-changing from what I could see, but I know how seeds are. You plant them in a dark place, and they grow from that. Plenty of people planted seeds into me in my dark places, and here I am. And so then the final thing, and then I should probably mosey around and try to get back to Denver since I'm really far from home without a car. And so I decided when I got to my final destination that I would go in and eat something, because I had a little time to kill before I needed to be to my next location, and I had to get a lift there because, well, I could have walked, like the 45 minutes or whatever, but I decided I was gonna get a lift. So treated myself to some lunch, really just some guacamole, but it was good, and a margarita. And I got the lift to go to where I was going to take care of my business. And the guy that picked me up, he was just like statuesque, unreal, angelic. And interesting. Like there was no flirtation. He wasn't out of line in any, like, he was just a perfect gentleman. And the music he was playing, like, I felt safe in his car. First of all, I felt very safe, and just his presence was good, peaceful. I didn't feel unsafe. Like, when you get in a car with a stranger, you don't know who they are, like what they're capable of. And the first song that comes on is that song, You're Beautiful. And the words in that song just hit me in a way today like never before. I felt like God was singing it to me. Well, except for the part that we can't be together or whatever, because there's that part, because it's like a love song. But I felt like God was singing that song to me, telling me that I'm beautiful, telling me just so many things he told me. And then there's these other songs, and everything was just sweet. And I did this number because I literally couldn't stop the tears from flowing. But again, I said I felt safe in the car. He was minding his own business. We spoke different languages. So it was fine. But anyway, it's been quite the magical day. And then here we are. I couldn't find a ride after my eyebrows coming off, it looks like. I'm trying to grow them. I couldn't work my phone or whatever is going on. So I'm walking and I find a lake. The icing on this cake. So far, who knows? More magical wonders could happen. Who knows? It's a beautiful life, you guys. Love each other. Look, I started this off saying I wasn't going to share it. Now I'm leaving it off as if I'm sharing it. So maybe I'm going to share it with you guys. Yeah. Be nice. Love each other. Life is short. Life is sweet, but it's also really, really, really tough. So, and if it's not tough, if you're not facing struggles, then you might want to find something to challenge yourself, because that's where we grow. That is where we grow. That's also where we learn to really lean into God, because when you realize like all of this stuff is shaky, you get real close to God. So anyway, I ramble on and on and on. It is so beautiful. If I share this, thank you for watching. Have a great day. God bless you. Bye.